Ties with any country, or all the ties that we have with various countries, they stand on their own merit, and they should not be seen from the prism of a third country. As far as India-Russia relations are concerned, we have a steady and time-tested partnership.
This guy, this madman, and we're in his pocket. We have no apparent say in what he's going to do.
Netanyahu.
Yes, and AIPAC and all the Israeli mechanism that operates in the United States. Our vote, our Congress means nothing. Netanyahu comes and addresses them 3 times. They stand up like dogs, clapping for everything he says, like dogs. It was disgusting. The most disgusting moment.
There's a good point that, it's basically the neocon agenda, and a lot of these neocons are dual Israeli citizens.
Well, hello, that's me again. Today is Sunday, August 3, 2025, and you can consider it the end of the weekend update if you wish. And what you see in the beginning is, well, pretty much doesn't require any additional comments. And we know that Mr. Trump says that India stopped receiving Russian oil, but evidently it's not the case. And as basically it's not the case with everything, for the most part, what he talks about. However, having said all that and basically discussing the situation with Trump, essentially outbursts of the man who is desperate and whose situation is not very good, to put it politely, Mr. Oliver Stone correctly states, and he is in the pocket of Mr. Netanyahu, and he will do the same as the United States will do, as Israel tells them. However, having said all that, I want to show you something which even the people who are most of the, let's say, American establishment media or Western establishment media are war criminals, as are people who work there. They are basically people who support, abet, and aid all kinds of the atrocities around the world, and then suddenly, after the whole world basically starts screaming, with pain and desperation, they suddenly notice things because they cannot continue anymore as it is. And so even Washington Post, this one of those, it's rag which essentially makes me want to throw up. They show things about Gaza, for example, and what can I say? You can see yourself that there's some new type of things about information and show of the Gaza destruction. Well, you can go actually the website. I don't know if it is on the behind the paywall. I am subscribed to these rags such as Washington Post and New York Times because it's out of the professional necessity. I need periodically to refer myself to the perverted mind of those people who work there and who obviously do somebody's bidding, but this is what Gaza looks like, and it is a terrifying picture. It is absolute destruction, and apart from the fact that, as you can see yourself, everything is blown to smithereens, blown up to smithereens. It's a complete misery. People are dying from starvation. But Mr. Trump will do nothing about it. Now, however, is one of the friends of mine, he is the reader on my blog, Femi, he is from Africa, one of the African intellectuals. He absolutely wrote about the cowardice and betrayal of the Arab world of Palestinians. And he is absolutely correct. And I cannot emphasize enough that apart from observing tragedy of Gaza and what Israel commits there, which it commits crimes against humanity, I have to point out to those people who constantly shake their hands, shake their fists in the air and scream, "Russia, where are you? You have to come and, save Palestinians." Really? How about Arab world? This one, whatever, people say it's less than 1 billion, okay, yeah, whatever, 800 million Arabs, do something about it. They cannot. They are also in the pockets of Israel and the United States. They are utterly corrupt governments, and, well, their people live in the sheer poverty primarily. So anybody who begins to talk about that, why Russia doesn't do this or do that, you know what? Russia has a lot on her plate, apart from taking care of Palestine, not to speak of the fact that actually even the Western world, even if it is, we know, it's all for the show, it's all to kind of deflect the blame, of which actually combined West is a huge part from the essentially what is happening in Gaza. But it's just one thing. However, having said about this Trump's outbursts, and they are outbursts of the, well, essentially, what we discussed it before, and I will repeat it again, that is the maturity level of the teenager from the high school, essentially. He, however, in some sense correct, but this is paradox of this thing. While I may support him on that, how to put it, about statistics. So Trump fires statistics official after U.S. posts weak job numbers. First, I can totally believe that U.S. posts weak job numbers, but so he fires this, whatever the name of this guy, from Bureau of Labor and Statistics, and recent data was rigged to harm him politically, the American president has claimed. Fact is, we are again looking at the freak show, one guy who thinks that he controls the universe and he saved the United States, while in reality he might have a point. And the truth is that all economic statistics, which military statistics, any kind of the statistics, apart from the general things about the population and tangible economic data, such as, for example, how much steel the United States produced, how many cars, that is reliable statistics because you can really count it. But in terms of jobs, in terms of the GDP, all those fake numbers, and they are fake on any side, from the Trump side or from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. And so what he says, that Labor Secretary Lori Chavez de Remer supported Trump's decision to replace McIntyre, whatever, the guy emphasizing the importance of making sure the American people can trust BLS data. Republican Senator Roger Marshall, who had previously questioned McIntyre's job statistics, also praised the move. Marshall stated on X that he cooked up numbers, he have misled the American people for too long. Economists, however, expressed concern about the firing, with R&D warning on X that it threatens to destroy trust in core American institutions and all government statistics. Well, what can I say? We all saw, for example, last video I was also discussing it, in the government statistic, Mr. Trump just pulls the numbers out of his butt, pardon my French, and especially when it comes down to special military operation. And now this, you know what, this clash, if you wish, of course, he's a president of the United States, he fired the guy, very easy. It's just one of the indicators, one of the symptoms of the horrendous illness, I mean, which is probably terminal right now, that the system itself doesn't really work. It ceases to, well, it ceases. Simple as that. It's, I don't know how else to describe it, but truth is, United States never had issues with playing with numbers anyway it wants. And it's not just about Bureau of Labor and Statistics or what have you, or Mr. Trump just inventing things as he goes. It is, well, it is as American as the, you know, US flag and apple pie. And so, and in this case, how do we even approach this? Those who remember my last video where I was discussing this, I mean, this is just hilarious, 330 pages of the complete delirium with some, you know what, bright spots of the lucid thoughts, which everybody knows, like, oh yeah, those guys, Troika, you know, they admitted that the Russian general staff has a full operational control, you know, of the Russian armed forces. Well, they have more than that, but you know what can I say? The rest of it, such as the claims that Mr. Karaganov, for example, was Putin's advisor, which he never was. So, and you know, it's just the way it is. This is how the modern America operates, and inevitably, as any kind of the constant, consistent lies and imaginary things, and I'm not talking about imaginary numbers or rather complex numbers with the imaginary part. It has nothing to do with that. And that inevitably leads to the, at some point of time, clash with the reality and this explosion where you have to really face the situation. And I want to elaborate a little bit on Mr. Trump's, again, outbursts and some hot air ballooning, essentially. That's what it is. He produces so much hot air as of lately that unbelievable. And so when we talk about the for example, British media, I think that I recognize basically the method behind the stuffing of the British media. BBC, Telegraph, the Times, and what have you. I think that MI6 and MI5, they have the track of the retards. They choose the families which are, producing retards, and they track them, and then essentially when they are complete in their retardation and fail in any kind of the academic or human endeavors, they just, go say, here it is. Here's a retard. Here's the guy not only retard, has no principles, have no honor, has no any humanity left in him. He is prepared war criminal and MBS. So how about you go and work for the Telegraph or BBC, or for what have you. This is how they choose them there. And something tells me that this is how the British military is also operating nowadays. But here we are. We go to the Telegraph. Oh my God, look at this. So people invent things, and as you can see yourself, Adrian Bloomfield. Okay, Trump calls nuclear bluff of Russia hawk in chief. Okay, Mr. Medvedev merely reminded Mr. Trump that if he wants to fight Russia, well, Russia has the perimeter system, and Russia has, well, frankly, so much better, so much more advanced nuclear delivery systems that Mr. Trump will not understand that. So, and here the guy invents things that normally when the US acts against Russia, Vladimir Putin is quick to respond in kind. Sanctions for sanctions, travel ban for travel ban, expulsion for expulsion. So, yeah, sure. And then he writes, well, that's garbage. That's how they feed, with what they feed the Western public. For Putin to follow his own doctrines of reciprocity. There is no doctrine of reciprocity. Russia responds what she wants to and how she deems necessary. Russian submarines will now be heading towards the United States, and the world would be holding its breath. Instead, he recognizes the obvious. Mr. Trump's move is more about theater than altering the U.S. nuclear posture. Yeah, it is. It's everything in Trump is about theater and his idea of moving submarines to somewhere. Let me explain why it is a complete load of malarkey. It's a heap of the BS and, let me be a little bit more sharper, if you wish. Bovine excrement. United States has 14 higher class strategic missile submarines which carry each 24 Trident 2 D5 sea launch ballistic missile, and usually about 2, maybe up to 3 submarines are actually deployed on the combat patrol. And I don't know what he meant by those submarines steaming towards Russia. But here is the thing which you have to understand. Trident 2D5, well, it's a good missile still. I mean, it's a dangerous missile. It's an intercontinental ballistic missile. It is getting old. And now, let me explain. If you take a look at the theater of operation, for example, in the Atlantic, Pacific is very different. You can take a look where American submarines basically go and carry out their standard patrols. And if you take a look, one of the so-called bastions, although bastion is a Russian concept, but it's pretty much applied to the same by U.S. Navy strategic missile submarines. And Baffin Bay, well, it's not really bay, it's a really large sea, is one of those bastions, so to speak. That means defended positions where the American submarines, strategic missile submarines of a higher class, can operate or patrol relatively safe, because they will be covered by one or maybe even two the multi-purpose Virginia class submarines, and they have the bases which actually, and they have their runways which can support their such anti-submarine warfare or patrol aviation, such as, for example, P-3 Orion, which are also helpful in this case, because if Russians want to get into the Baffin Bay, there will be more risks than if they would be operating in the open in the northern Atlantic. But this is where they go, one of the places where they go. Then if you take a look attentively at the Nares Strait, from Baffin Sea, they can also go even further north towards the pole, where there still could be some open water to launch at Russia. And of course they also travel, as you can see yourself, into other places which are, well, how to put it, close to the polar trajectory, so to speak, of their missiles. What is important about launches and why they want to go into the polar? The same Russians do this too, but Russians have a much greater experience in operating under the ice. Navigation under the ice is and especially in polar regions, is a completely different game. But Russians do it, and they are really good at it. So it is obviously to shorten the flight time of the strategic missiles. And in United States, for example, they want to do it because they need to hit Russia as fast as possible, and because of that, they need to use what is called the suppressed ballistic trajectories on their missiles. In this particular case, those MIRVs, which are multiple independent reentry vehicles, which are carried by the Trident 2 D5. And if you take a look, I drew a little bit explanation to you. Look at this. If you look at the curvature of the Earth, in green, as you can see yourself, it's a standard launch of the ballistic missiles. That could be actually Minutemen, for example. You can also launch them in the suppressed trajectory, but in generally they're gonna follow the traditional ballistic trajectory with at some point of time one of their stages will be orienting the MIRVs, multiple independent reentry vehicles, and using celestial navigation. Russians use this too. And so, as you can see yourself, by the time it arrives to the target, it hits the, what is called circular error probable, but in reality, it is described by the ellipse. And how this ellipse is described and what are those major and minor axes of the ellipse and how they formed, it's absolutely a technical issue. You don't need to know it. But as you can see yourself, it is relative, small, let's put it this way, and they hit targets which especially the United States claims to operate in the counter force as opposed to counter value mode, and so do Russians. They wouldn't want to attack huge urban centers, but they would attack military installations and silos. But here in the blue, you can see yourself what they are trying to do. They want to shorten dramatically the distance of the launch, but also because of that, they use suppressed trajectory. And because of the suppressed trajectory, as you can see yourself, it's all relative, it's not to the scale, but their ellipse, so to speak, grows dramatically. And that is why, for example, there was a lot of talk, which is some of people we all know, providing the absolute, heap of the bovine excrement about Russian, for example, early warning system. But the point is, this is what American submarines do, and they had to develop a new fuse, which people described as, oh my God, it's some kind of achievement. It's not. It's just regular fuse, which was designed to compensate for the error, which will be obviously accumulating as they launch those missiles on the suppressed trajectory at the Russian targets, and for them to explode over the designated target. Mostly it's the what is called the silos of the Russian strategic missile forces, but I have a very bad news apart for very many fanboys here, and some of those fanboys PhDs in physics, that actually, first, they are not going to be that effective against the modern silos, because they will be obviously there. It's not ground, it's air explosion of the nuclear weapon, and secondly, the error accumulates, and they don't know how to really attain those circular error probable benchmark, so to speak, that it will make it in any way effective when attacking the Russian strategic missile forces, apart from the fact that many of those they will not see. And Russians obviously have pretty much same thing, but there is another thing. All Russian modern missiles, they have the hypersonic maneuvering blocks, which fly with the Mach up to 27, so there's no way they can intercept anything. While in reality, Russians have already the type of the countermeasures, which obviously in place, such as the Peresvet laser systems, combat lasers, all kinds of the, well, anti-ballistic missiles, and yeah, so it's not even funny. But that's the idea. And of course, Mr. Trump, who never knows, he doesn't know basic math actually, and so that's what he tries to, sell to poor people, thinking that, yeah, because he ordered submarines to steam towards Russia, okay, doesn't change anything really. And yeah, for those people who still think that Russians are sitting, on their hands with their butt over their hands, I have news. Obviously, Russians also go to the combat patrols, and as you can see yourself, this is one of those missile submarines, the latest, the Prince Pozharsky, which is really, state-of-the-art submarine, and it carries 16 Bulava missiles. The latest Bulava missiles are capable of launching at a very long distance. It's intercontinental distance up to more than 11,000 kilometers. Those hypersonic maneuvering blocks, and this was one of the latest submarines, which was actually started serving in the first line in the Russian Navy. So this is so much for Mr. Trump's, how to say it, the mathematics and his strategy. He is neither mathematician nor strategist. He is just merely the showman. And, well, essentially, Mr. Oliver Stone, whom I respect very much, and don't forget, the guy, he's a combat veteran, he went to Vietnam, he fought in Vietnam, was wounded there. So he knows what he's talking from the point of view of the regular ground, and for that matter, for the regular American citizens. He actually represents quite a bit of the, the classic American attitude towards war. So, what do we have then? Well, let us go and take a look at all this, numbers, which Mr. Trump loves. We will go and take a look first at as you can see yourself, Russians now showing you how to operate in terms not only of SEAD, but as you can see yourself, because essentially the Su-34 comes in, turns on whatever the equipment they have there for the radio electronic, and so they essentially provoke the response of the air defense. After that, KH-31 missile is launched, and then of course UMPKs fly in. And this is the bridge in Kherson, and Kherson is getting pummeled, but it's just the overall situation on the front, where Russians actually, they advance everywhere. And let's go take a look at what our good friend Marat Khairulin, and of course Colonel Mikhail Popov, who does this maps. He actually, Mikhail celebrated yesterday the Paratroopers Day. It's a huge celebration, and here what we have right now on the Konstantinovka and Krasnoarmeysk. You see, Krasnoarmeysk now is not Pokrovsk anymore. As you can see yourself, the fight is deep within the Krasnoarmeysk, and it's gonna fall fairly soon. And as you can see yourself, and Radinskaya, it is critical thing to basically provide another cauldron for whatever forces are there, Ukrainian forces are there. And as you can see yourself, the battle for Radinskaya rages on, and then we have the situation with Konstantinovka. Basically, there's very little necessity to discuss it, because you can see yourself the actual scales to the upper left corner, and you can see yourself what is happening. And this is not the only events which are unfolding right now at the front. You can take a look, and you can see yourself now, even at this scheme since yesterday too, is that Seversk, yeah, you see, Seversk, look at the map, and Russians are advancing towards another critical defense point for the whatever is left of this armed forces of Ukraine. The number of the mercenaries are being killed and taken prisoners. A lot of them from Colombia, Mexico, those cartel guys who thought that they're going to do the safari on Russians. Well, it turns out to be completely opposite. There are a bunch of French. I mean, evidently the rumor has it that Russians took some of the British officers, POWs in Achakov. I don't know, cannot confirm it yet, and I'm just simply not interested in this anyhow, because for me it's not that actually important. But yeah, you can see yourself basically what is happening, and what can I say in this respect? So Mr. Witkov supposed to be there, here in Moscow. I want to stress, Mr. Witkov, whatever and he's a nice guy, make no mistake, he is one of those, people who tries to understand the problem, he tries to solve it, but the point is, it's just not there. The solution is not there because of the position of Mr. Trump, who says, he continues to pretend that it is is not his war, it is his war. He fully owns this war, and nothing he can do. The United States has only two options: either to lose even more humiliatingly or crawl away from this now. But as Mr. Putin, when speaking together with Mr. Lukashenko a couple days ago, he absolutely decisively described the situation with those inflated expectations, meaning Mr. Trump. So it's his problem. He obviously doesn't live in the real world, neither does primarily most, not all, the administration of Mr. Trump. And that is why he thinks that making those statements, he changes something. He doesn't. Well, he changes a little bit of in accordance to the thermodynamics, a little bit of the temperature in front of his mouth when that's why we call it, hot air balloon, hot air. He pumps hot air non-stop. And all this silly business of submarines, obviously, it's difficult to explain to Mr. Trump how navies operate, how submarines operate, and he might, if he want to, he can push a couple more strategic missile submarines. Russians will see it. As they see it, they control it 24/7, all naval bases from the Kitsa Peninsula to eastern bases to San Diego to what have you. So Russians know what and who and goes where. And so this is the whole other story. And as a result, what do we have today? Well, we have today the special military operation continuing. India evidently, debunking those rumors that some refineries stopped receiving Russian oil. They didn't. In terms of China, it's altogether, I don't think United States has any real leverage on China, and China doesn't care. And overall situation is such that, Mr. Trump, these are your successes. And the fact is, you can, and as I already stated in the very beginning, I can accept the fact that there are many people who hate Trump in the United States. There are. And they will do anything they can to discredit him. And, for example, I can totally accept that these guys from the Bureau of Labor Statistics may have made up some kind of the statistics. But the point is, it is definitely not the claims Trump constantly makes about his economic successes and the United States economy grows tremendously. It doesn't. It's basically stagnates. And I can totally believe that while I may not necessarily accept those numbers by Bureau of Labor Statistics, I can certainly I know, without care, I do know that the labor issue is huge and employment is huge problem for the United States. But this is the talk for the other time, and so to speak, and so what can I say? We can only sit here and hope for that. Well, I don't know if we can hope for, but I would say, I know, hope dies last, that somebody essentially will tell him that, Mr. President, well, I don't know if he can do it, if he can snap out of his alternative universe, but it is over, and nothing you can do short of the World War III. And there are a bunch of the idiots in the Western Europe who do not understand that, in London or Berlin or, Paris, that They are chihuahuas. Russians don't care, and if need be, they will just flatten their respective capitals. Brussels might go and will never exist again. So, but yeah, those people don't understand it because they are morons, they are hot air balloons, they are narcissists, and the only thing they know is how to make statements and do the show. And this is essentially what it comes down to, and this is what I wanted to tell you today, guys, about this whole silly submarine business and about the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. And so, as always, I want to profoundly and from the bottom of my heart to thank my wonderful patrons who essentially are responsible for keeping me in this business. And as always, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel, and those who can afford, please support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee and two. And that will be it for today, and guys, have a nice rest of your weekend, and I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.